Good afternoon, everybody. Big Mike back here with you again after a long weekend of pro wrestling. Here to give you my thoughts and do a little recap on the that's right, count them four, events I watched this WrestleMania weekend. That includes AAA Invades WrestleCon, ROH Supercard of Honor, Impact Wrestling Multiverse of Matches, and New Japan Pro Wrestling Lone Star. Although maybe not in that order. We'll see what happens. Overall, a very fun week. Can't wait to see what happens next year. So, let's get it started with AAA Invades WrestleCon. So, first match that they did show, it was a tag team match, playa, as the Natural Classics, who is Tomei Phillips and Steve Phillip. I think I'm saying their names right. I am not sure. Who I've really never seen before, but, whatever. Taking on Ryan Kidd, who I've never heard of. And Christy Jace, who has been, I think she's mostly been with like MLW and the NWA and them. So that's kind of fun. Match itself was okay. A kind of quick, introduction to those who are not used to Lucha Libre. A lot of high flying, a lot of near falls. Bit of a kind of a whiff from Christy Jane from a top rope moonsault, which was strange. Natural Classics hit their finisher and get a pretty big win in front of a decent-sized crowd. So it was alright. Nothing to write home about. There's definitely some better matches, not only on this card, but the entire week. So let's get into the next match. A trios lumberjack strap match, in which it's 3-on-3, but then ringside is filled with other wrestlers with straps, which, honestly, those are always fun. On one side, we have Taya, who is number one contender to the AAA Women's Championship. We'll get to that. Nino Hamburguesa, who honestly I haven't seen that much of. I know he was in Impact a little while, not too long ago. He is definitely fun to watch, though. He's definitely a bigger guy, but he moves really well. And I think the unsung hero of not only pro wrestling, but this whole weekend, Micro Man, as they take on Los Mercenarios, that's Reyes Scorpion and La Hydra. I'm sorry if I didn't say that right. Against Mini Mini AN. I'm just going to call him that, because that last name might get me into trouble. Anyway, usual luchador stuff. Taya trying to do some power things. A lot of throwing over the top rope, and the lumberjack getting involved. And I think they might have chased someone up the ramp. I think that was Hamburguesa, which was pretty funny. At one point, Micro Man hit 619 on, I want to say it was Lady Hydra. I could be wrong about that. And then, end of the day, it was just finisher fest, winning team, Taya, Hamburguesa, and Micro Man. So, gonna give this match a big thumbs up. It was fun nonsense, but I think it was fun nonsense, especially with Micro Man in there. Alright, next up, a pretty big match as it's for the National Wrestling Alliance Tag Team Championship. That's right. As La Rebellion, being represented by Bestia 666 and Mecha Wolf, and we also got Bestia's father coming down with him ringside. I forget his name. I apologize. As they take on Drago and Aerostar, who have kind of been in and out of the public eye the last couple of years. I think Aerostar and the former Kalisto challenged FTR for the AAA tag team titles on an episode of Dynamite like a few months ago. So, they're kind of still doing their thing. A lot of high flying, a lot of near falls, a lot of big moves. I'd say at this point it was front runner for match of the weekend. It was a lot of fun. La Rebellion hit their finisher. 1, 2, 3. Winners and still NWA Tag Team Champions. A lot of fun. Big old thumbs up. And I'm going to say recommended watching. Like, if you're a fan of tag team wrestling, this is for you. Alright, next up, another trios match. Match type AAA loves, which, don't get me wrong, I kind of like it too. As we have Octagon Jr. and Aramis, along with their tag team partner, Mr. Iguana. Yes, I said that right. As they take on Los Vipers members Ares, Albroso Negro Jr., and the former women's champion, Fabi Apache. And we'll get to a match she had a little bit later. Again, plenty of high flying between these two. Aramis and Ares definitely have great chemistry together, considering they work together a whole heck of a lot. Surprise kind of MVP of this match was Octagon. Like, dude's a luchador to keep your eye on, I think. And there was a point where the heel team, I guess the heel team, is Fabi Apache a heel now? I don't know. The other team was doing moves to Mr. Iguana's, pet iguana, I guess you could call him. I don't know what that thing is. He brings a stuffed lizard, a lizard toy, I should say, to ringside. And yeah, the opposing team just did finishers to it, which was honestly kind of fun. I think there was a point where Octagon Jr. Almost flew into the crowd, which was nutty. I guess Babyface team got the win. That's Octagon, RMS, and Mr. Iguana after, plenty of dives to the outside. And finisher in the win, which, you know what, honestly, it wasn't the most well put together match, but it was still really fun. I'm going to give it kind of like right up here. Enjoyable, but not really necessary. You know what I mean? Anyway, next match. A no DQ trios match. As we have Pagano, bit of a fan favorite in AAA. Drago Kid, who personally I've never heard of. And Jack Cartwheel making his AAA debut. He's mostly worked for Game Changer Wrestling. As they take on La Impresia members Puma King, Sam Adonis, and their partner Gringo Loco, which is surprising for me. I guess DMT Azul didn't make their trip, which, fair point. If he doesn't want to go, he doesn't want to go. Definitely a bit of a crazier match. More weapons were involved. I think there was a chair spot by Pagano, which was wild. And throwing like trash can lids at each other, and it was just a wild match. You got Jack Cartwheel doing this thing, doing the cartwheel over the top rope, which it always gets me. And kind of a dark horse of the match and kind of the weekend too was Drago Kid, who really showed his stuff. He's definitely speedy, but I do think he needs a little bit of work in his in his abilities. There's definitely something there, and I do think he has potential. Winning team: Pagano, Drago Kid, and Jack Cartwheel. Kind of the same as the first few trios matches. Still very good, but nothing really stood out to me that much. You know what I mean? Next up, I think a little bit of a underlooked match of the week we have for the AAA Cruiserweight Championship, as Laredo the Kid defends against Bandito and Flamita. Now, if you didn't know, excuse me, Bandito and Flamita were once team members in Ring of Honor, and now they've become rivals, which, I'm cool with that. Definitely a lot of flying. Bandito trying to slow some things down, which is interesting to see, considering he's one of the biggest high flyers out there. All three did really well with each other. A lot of over-the-top rope flops, a lot of between the ropes flying. It was great. A nice, fast-paced, well-put-together match. And, Laredo Kid gets the pin on Flamita, which is a shame. I like Flamita. I hope he gets to do something a little bit more in the near future, and maybe gets to win a few more matches. Overall, good match. Highly recommend you go check it out if you haven't seen it yet. And now our main event of the evening, as we have Psycho Clown taking on Taurus of Decay. Technically not of Decay here, but, he's doing some good stuff over in Impact. Definitely a bit more toned down than the rest of the match, although seeing Psycho Clown and Taurus do power spots to each other, that was nuts. I wouldn't say this match fell flat, but it definitely felt less exciting than the last match. But I still had fun with it because there was some speed, but not too much. There was a nice balance of power and high flying and just all kinds of good stuff. Winner Psycho Clown gets a big thumbs up from me. Out next comes the losers of a previous match, La Impresia and Gringo Loco, who then attack Psycho Clown and Taurus. And who's leading the charge? Double J, Jeff Jarrett. That's right. Double J making his way back to AAA. I believe he helped with AAA Triple Mania a few years ago, right before, I think a little bit before AEW was a thing. So, yeah, he had his own thing, Global Force Wrestling going on. And, we see how that went, huh? And yeah, he announced he's the money behind La Impresia, which, interesting angle. I didn't really kind of need that, because Jeff's kind of, he's kind of past his best years. I don't need to see another Jeff Jarrett match. But if he's a manager, that's cool. Overall, very fun show. Definitely some recommended matches. Can give it a thumbs up. It was a solid way to start off a big old wrestling weekend. Alright, let me see. Next match. Here's a good one. We have Super Card of Honor, which is ROH's comeback show after being purchased by Tony Khan. So technically it's ROH AEW developmental, which I'm interested. So should be fun. Let's get into it. So first match on the pre-show, which this is kind of interesting. We have Colt Cabana, an ROH, would I say original? He definitely has some history in ROH, although I'm sorry, I don't know it. I didn't really watch ROH before this year. Sorry. Taking on a bit of an indie darling here in Blake Christian, who was in WWE for a little bit and then got released in the mass releases earlier in the year. Nice little back and forth. Didn't go on too long, and Colt Cabana got the win. So this gets a thumbs up for me. I do hope that means Colt is, maybe doing a little bit more with ROH on his own than with Dark Order on AEW. In which, don't get me wrong, I love the Dark Order. Maybe it's time for Colt to do something himself, because he's really good at it. Next up, a bit of an interesting match, as AQA, who is a more recent addition by Tony Khan to AEW, as she takes on Miranda Alizé, who was the runner-up to the Ring of Honor Women's Title Tournament, although she has had a few shots here and there on Impact and in other places. So I'm glad Miranda came back, even if it's just for one night. These two actually did work really, really well together, with Miranda Alizé being more technical, while AQA was more high-flying. It was a great mesh of styles, and AQA got the win. Gonna give it kind of a thumbs here. It wasn't a perfect match, because AQA is a little young, but I feel like once she builds more of a repertoire, which is, what I think ROH can do for her, I think she's going to get more experience under her belt. Alright, next up, we have the first big reveal of the night, as we have the Shinobi Shadow Squad, which is Cheeseburger and Eli Isom. Yes, there's a dude in wrestling named Cheeseburger. Get off my back. And it would be revealed that Tully Blanchard, who has recently got fired by FTR, we'll talk about them later, and he says he's bringing a couple of competitors to Ring of Honor. And his two competitors are Jasper Khan, 1/3 of the former Ring of Honor Trios champions in Shane Taylor Promotions. My hat's off to those guys. And Toa Lona, who I have never seen before. I guess he's definitely a big Samoan dude. So he's easy big squash match by Gates of Agony, or what they would later be called Tully Blanchard Enterprises, which, Tully Blanchard with a stable of his own, sign me up. Definitely a good way to get in the minds of people that this group is to be taken seriously, and I'm all good with that. Nothing wrong with a little squash. And the final match of the pre-show pits a couple of ROH original guys as Dalton Castle takes on the local hero, Joe Andre. I'm sorry, I can't sing as good as him. It was a fun little match. Nothing really, I wouldn't say that interesting to write home about. Dalton Castle gets a big win. I hope that means he's sticking around, because I think he would be good for, to help build up some of the younger guys in ROH, considering he's a big vet. Alright, now we got the first match of the main card, as we have Swerve Strickland versus Alex Zane, who has been wrestling just about everywhere. Swerve, obviously an AEW guy, recently signed along with, Keith Lee and Jeff Hardy and all kinds of other dudes. Definitely a nice back and forth, a lot of pairing off with speed and athleticism. I've honestly forgotten how good Swerve is. I remember his MLW run as MLW champion, and he was really, really good back then. He has gotten even better now. Swerve is his finish. 1, 2, 3. Match done. Swerve Strickland gets a win. I give this a big thumbs up. I do hope this doesn't mean Swerve is just going to be an ROH guy, and maybe, comes through AEW every now and again. Which, it seems like that's where it's going. Which I'm okay with that. Next up, another Tully Blanchard competitor, as Ninja Mac making his ROH debut. He has also done some things in GCW. He's a guy to look out for. But he has a hill to climb as Tully brings out Brian Cage, former FTW champion, former Impact World champion. And honestly, I think this is a pretty good spot for him. Don't get me wrong. I love Brian Cage. He is a hell of a competitor. But I think him being in ROH to develop a little bit more would... I just hope they do something cool with him. Ultimately, big old squash match showing, Cage's dominance, which I don't mind. I wish Ninja Mac got a little bit more offense in, but overall, fun match. I'll give it a thumbs up. Next up, an interesting match, a bit of a past versus future Ring of Honor match, as former Ring of Honor World Champion, and I believe Tag Champion as well, Jay Lethal takes on Lee Moriarty, who is coming out with Matt Sydal, the former Evan Bourne. Because apparently, if I remember correctly, Sydal trained Moriarty, which I think that's pretty cool. Lots of back and forth. Plenty of, apparently, Lee Moriarty was the one slowing this match down, which was very interesting to see. Definitely a bit more high-paced when Lethal got in there. Ultimately, I believe Sydal caused a little bit of a distraction. Jay Lethal with the low blow, so he's going to be a heel going forward, in which I'm all for. And big old hits Lethal Injection for the win. And I am all good with this. Post-match, Jay Lethal starts beating on Matt Sydal, which I hope this means Matt Sydal is going to be cleared for ring action soon. And out comes one of the producers of Ring of Honor, former wrestler Sanjay Dutt. And it looks like he's going to try to back Jay Lethal off. And then he joins in. So it looks like Sanjay Dutt is going to be doing something with his old tag team partner. And yes, they did tag in TNA. And I loved that team. So, thumbs up for the match, thumbs up for the angle. And we're going to get more out of Lethal later. Trust me. This next match was for the Ring of Honor Interim Women's Championship, as we have Willow Nightingale, bit of a fan favorite, one of my up-and-coming favorites from the world of wrestling, taking on Mercedes Martinez, who has had a shot here and there from the women's division, whether that be Impact or I believe she challenged Deonna Purrazzo once for the ROH title. So she's definitely got talent. Overall, it was a bit of a sloppy match. I remember Willow Nightingale landing a big splash on Mercedes' face, which was scary. I hope she's okay. Overall, match ends by submission by Mercedes Martinez. So, new interim champion. And I honestly thought she'd be, well, not going to talk about that just yet. We'll get there. Alright, next up, a very exciting match for the first time ever. We're seeing FTR, the AAA Tag Team Champions, taking on the Briscoe Brothers for their Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships. And boy, oh boy, did this match overperform. These four men did great things together. They bled together. I don't know how to put this match into words. All I'm going to say is highly recommended. All the thumbs up I can give. I'd even give my toes. It was that dang good. I don't know how to put this match into words. Go find it out on the internet if you can. It's out there. It's great. Next up, bit of an interesting match as Minoru Suzuki challenges Rhett Titus for his ROH Television Championship. I will say this match started off kind of slow, but then it picked up a little bit, and then Minoru Suzuki hit Rhett Titus with a pile driver for a pin and a win. So, your new Ring of Honor TV champion, Minoru Suzuki, who we're going to see a couple of times tonight. Don't you worry. Kind of a thumbs in the middle. Not really much of a match, but, you know, it's Suzuki. I can't hate on him. Dude's been wrestling a long time, and apparently this is his first U.S. Promotional championship, so that's pretty cool. Next match for the Pure Wrestling Championship, as Josh Woods takes on Wheeler Yuta, who has been growing in popularity on AEW recently. Now, Woods usually has a pretty decent strategy when it comes to the Pure Rules, which I am not going to go into. It is a little complicated, as he forces his opponent to use up his rope breaks. But Wheeler Yuta kind of, tit for tatted him. He hung in there with Josh Woods, which is really interesting to see. Bit more power coming from Woods, which was awesome. And then a bit of a surprise roll-up for the win from Wheeler Yuta, which winner and new Pure Rules champion, Wheeler Yuta. I'm going to say, very impressive, young man. Congratulations, and I hope nothing but the best. Oh, I forgot something about the tag team match. The FTR Briscoes match. Post-match, Young Bucks come out, super kick the heck out of the Briscoes, and FTR runs them off, which, that's interesting. And, they're setting up their match, FTR and the Young Bucks match for this coming Wednesday, for not only the AAA tag team titles, but for the Ring of Honor tag team titles as well. So, a lot of stakes on the line, and I cannot wait for that one. All right, our main event of the evening. We have Jonathan Gresham, Bandito, title for title. Now, let me explain this a little bit. Bandito and Gresham were meant to wrestle at Final Battle. At the time, Bandito was the champion. He came down with COVID, and so Gresham and Jay Lethal had a match for the old school Ring of Honor title, which honestly I think is the better designed title in my mind. Gresham has been defending it everywhere. Bandito has been at least wrestling everywhere. I don't think he's defended much his Ring of Honor title, but whatever. And we have this now big clash. And also Bandito is seconded by Chavo Guerrero Jr., which honestly, that's an interesting pairing. I hope to see where that goes in the future. Gresh doing all kinds of great things with his technical stuff. Bandito with some great high flying. At a couple of points, Chavo tries to interfere to cost Gresham, but Bandito doesn't want to win that way, which is awesome. I like that. Little details to... I like little details like that. That's really cool in my wrestling. Gresham tries a couple times for his octopus submission hold. Bandito counters. Bandito tries for his finisher. He counters. And then Gresham, I believe, hit a pile driver, if I remember correctly, for the pin and the win. And your winner and new unified Ring of Honor champion, Jonathan Gresham. Now, match itself, honestly, it was fantastic. It's another go must watch if you're a wrestling fan. Now, post-match is where things get really interesting. As out comes Jay Lethal and Sanjay Dutt. Jay Lethal's like, oh, I trained you. I helped you get to where you are. And Gresham's like, no, you go to the back of the line. I don't wrestle you like that. We've done this 100 times. And then Lethal and Dutt just start beating on him. And then out comes the newest signing to not only Ring of Honor, but to AEW, Samoa Joe. Joe is back, baby, and I can't wait. You know what? Give me Gresham versus Joe as soon as possible. That match is gonna rule. Overall, give it a big thumbs up to this show. Tony Khan and his boys delivered, and I can't wait to see more from Ring of Honor. And we got 2 more shows left. We got New Japan Pro Wrestling, a Lone Star Shootout, which I do believe happened a little bit before both of these shows. So, kind of doing it a little out of order, but it's fine. I apologize. Give me 1 second, folks. Alright, here we go. Now we're in. So, first match on the card here for Lone Star Shootout, we had Ren Narita, bit of a young boy, against Trainer and former, I believe he's won a couple of Cruiserweight champions and a couple of Junior Heavyweight Tag Team belts. Rocky Romero, who is doing the rounds, which is interesting. Some nice back and forth, a bit more speed from Romero, some good stuff from Narita, and bit of a quickie match, but I'm definitely okay with that, as Ren Narita gets the big win. I'll give it kind of a thumbs in the middle as it kind of ended a little abruptly, but, you know, that happens sometimes. Oh boy, here comes a big one. Next up, we have an 8-man tag team match playa, as we have Clark Connors, Carl Fredericks, Masco Doria, who you might remember as Grand Metalik, and Yuha Yumahira. I hope I pronounced that right. I apologize if I didn't. Taking on David Finlay and Juice Robinson, Daniel Garcia, who is very interesting to see here, and Kevin Knight, who I'm not super familiar with, but I feel like he showed out a bit in this match. Kind of a bit of a mashup here. Finn Juice doing their best tag team thing. I don't even know what to say to that. Overall, it felt kind of like a filler match. Like, it wasn't bad. It was a lot of fun. Mascadora did some, good lucha things, to quote his former tag team partner. Overall, very fun. I believe Carl Fredericks got the win here. So, yeah, I'm going to kind of go thumb kind of right here. Still kind of fun, but overall felt like a kind of a nothing match. Next up, things stepped up really heavy here as 2 heavy hitters of pro wrestling came in. We have more Minoru Suzuki versus Killer Cross. And oh boy, did these guys throw some bombs at each other. They did some good stuff. A lot of grappling from Minoru. A lot of big moves, including some big power bombs from Cross. But end of the day, Minoru Suzuki gets the better of him and beats Cross. Personally, I would have had Cross win here, but you know what? It's a legend like Suzuki, and they did great together. I cannot wait to see more from these two. Next match. I think match of this show, Jay White versus Mike Bailey. Now White, I think he's one of the best wrestlers in the world these days. Like, if you haven't seen a Jay White match, like, go out in the world and find him. He's been absolutely everywhere these days. A nice back and forth, a bit more high-paced match than the last one. A lot of counters to finishers, which I always like. Looked like Bailey a couple of times got the win, but Jay White kicks out. And Jay White finally gets his finish. 1, 2, 3. Winner, Jay White. Not a perfect match by any means, but I'm going to take it, give it a thumbs up, and I think it's a must-watch match. And finally, another bit of a big heavy hitter match, as Tomohiro Ishii takes on Chris Dickinson. Now, Dickinson, I believe this is his return to in-ring. stuff, as he has been hurt with a neck injury, I believe. So, good to see him back. Although I think he's done some GCW stuff. I could be wrong. Either way, these two hit each other really hard. A lot of, dare I say it, big meaty men slapping beef. And it was just, oh boy. Matches like these do the heart good. It wasn't as ground and pound as I thought it would be. More, not methodical, technical, but technical enough that it kept my interest. And winner, Tomohiro Ishii. I'm going to give this a big thumbs up. I wouldn't say must go out and see, but if you are going to watch the show, this is a very fun main event. Thumbs up for me. Post-match, Minoru Suzuki comes out and has a stare down with Ishii. So we're going to see those two titans of New Japan clash at some point. That's going to be fun to watch. There were some predictions for a couple of other matches, but apparently those matches weren't a part of this show. They were for a later taping, so I didn't get to see them. So hopefully we see those in the future on New Japan Strong, I believe. So that should be fun. All right. And this is where... at least my recap ends. As we are going to look at Impact Wrestling's multiverse of matches. That's right, we got some big old crossovers coming in out here, and I am excited. First match, we have an Intergender Ultimate X match for the X Division Championship. As champion, Trey Miguel takes on Blake Christian, who has done a whole heck of a lot this night. He's one of the MVPs of the weekend, I think. Chris Bay of the Bullet Club. Too sweet. Jordani Grace. We have Rich Swann. And Vincent. I believe Blake Christian is a late replacement for Willie Mack, as he was supposed to be in this match, but now he isn't, which it's a shame. I hope Willie Mack, if he's hurt, heals up soon, and we get to see him again, either at like Rebellion or something. Overall, kind of a basic Ultimate X match, although there was a spot where we had Jordani Grace up on the wire that leads to the title. And she's going military style while Trey Miguel is going hand over hand. Which I thought that spot was really cool. Vincent then takes down Jordani Grace. And that gives Trey Miguel enough time to unhook the title and retain. Winner and still X Division champion, Trey Miguel. I'm going to give this match a bit of a thumbs up. It did go by a little bit quick, but I'm kind of okay with that. Ultimate X matches don't need to be super long, but I was kind of hoping for a little bit more. Next up, Mixed Tag Team Action Playa, as Matt Cardona and Chelsea Green take on Mickie James and Nick Aldis. That's right, the NWA being represented in Impact. Never thought I'd see that. Overall, fine match. I was kind of hoping the Cardonas would have a little bit more offense, although they did get some in. Like, I think they had some dual neck breakers. But end of the day, Nick Aldis and Mickie James had their respective opponents in Kingsland Cloverleafs, which is, Texas Cloverleaf submission, for a double submission victory. So, Again, not the strongest match I could have seen out of these two, but I do believe this will create a story for the NWA down the line, which I'm all for. Next match, another potential match of the weekend contender, as Speedball Mike Bailey takes on one half of the Motor City Machine Guns, Alex Shelley. And boy, oh boy, did these two throw everything at each other. We had flips, we had flops, we had dives, we had karate moves. Plenty of counters by Shelley and Mike Bailey. End of the day, Mike Bailey hits his beautiful, I believe it was a frog splash finisher for the pin and the win. Mike Bailey getting some stuff done this weekend. I respect you, my man. Next up, bit of a downer match, but that's because it was kind of a cluster, as the Knockouts Tag Team Championships are on the line, as the Influence, that's Madison Rayne and Tennille Dashwood, defend against Decay, Havoc and Rosemary, Janelle Shaw and Lady Frost, who are major rivals, and Savannah Evans and Tasha Steele, who is the Knockouts champion. And, they were building up, she could be another knockout who could be Knockouts champion and Knockouts tag champion. Overall, it was a fine bout. We definitely had the Rosemary Steele storyline going, as Rosemary's going to get a title shot against Steele at Rebellion, which I am very much looking forward to. Frost and Shaw kind of work together kind of well, but I don't think we're going to see this team together going forward. And then for the Influence, no Caleb with a K. He was, I don't even know if he was in Dallas. I could be wrong about that, but yeah, overall, I wouldn't say a bad match. It was fun for what it was, but overall, not many talking points. Influence get a big win. So, hopefully we see the Inspiration take back their titles soon, which I think would make sense to me. Alright, next up, another big old hard-hitting match. As we have Tomohiro Ishii. Yes, I told you we'd be talking about him again. And he's taking on Eddie Edwards, the leader of Honor No More. And boy, oh boy, was this a great technical / speed versus a big man battle. These two threw everything they had at each other. Some great near falls. I thought Eddie would be getting the win here. And honestly, no Honor No More ringside, which surprised the heck out of me. End of the day, Tomohiro Ishii gets the win. And I'm just fine with that. Big old thumbs up from me. One of the better matches of the night. And maybe of the weekend, too. I'd say go out of your way, give it a watch. Next up, a bit of a Monster Mash tag team match, players. As we have Josh Alexander and Jonah, which is a bit of a surprise partner for Alexander, considering, they don't really like each other. Taking on Moose, the Impact World Champion, and Honor No More's resident monster, PCO, who I am surprised is still walking, after his war with Jonah. Plenty of good back and forth between the two. We had teases between Alexander and Moose, in which they're going to have their match at Rebellion, which is going to be great. Moose did end up bailing on PCO, and then Alexander made PCO tap out. And, yeah, that's it. It was an enjoyable match for what it was. I would have liked to see, you know, Impact hold off on the Moose Josh Alexander match until Rebellion, but this wasn't a bad thing. I'll give it kind of a thumbs kind of here. Wasn't a great match, but it was fun for what it was. Next up, the Champ Challenge. As we have Deonna Purrazzo defending either her Ring of Honor or her AAA Women's Championship. And out comes Fabi Apache. A bit of a surprise from AAA as she, on Thursday, had her match. And honestly, I think this was a really underrated match. They both matched really well together. They have great chemistry. A lot of counters to finishers. But then Purrazzo, bit of a surprise to see her get her armbar submission for the big old tap out to Apache. And then Purrazzo got on the mic and said, bring out Mercedes Martinez because she's interim ROH champion. And I'll take on anybody, blah, blah, blah. Out comes Taya Valkyrie to make her big old Impact return. And I popped huge. I loved Taya in Impact. She's doing really good stuff for AAA. And we're going to see this match at Rebellion. Oh, Rebellion's looking so good. I cannot wait. Big thumbs up from me. I'm going to say, go out of your way if you want to see a really good women's wrestling match. Next up, another great contender for match of the weekend. Chris Sabin of the Motor City Machine Guns taking on leader of the Bullet Club, Jay White. And when I thought Jay White and Alex Shelley had great chemistry, these two had even better chemistry. They looked like a couple of dancers putting on the performance of their life. Like, I don't know how I could describe this, but it's a match I think you'll really need to go out of your way and take a look at. These two were beautiful together. Sabin with a little bit of a roll-up, which I'm surprised they Impact allowed that to happen, but hey, whatever. It's cool. I'm going to give this all the thumbs up. Maybe a few fingers up, too. And our main event of the evening, the Good Brothers, the former tag team champions, take on, in a bit of a dream match, them boys, the Briscoe brothers. And while this was a little bit short, I did really like the chemistry between the two teams. The big, imposing Doc Gallows. The bit more finesse of Carl Anderson. The Briscoes using a bit more of their speed to kind of avoid things, and then boom, hit and run, boom, hit and run. I think it was one of the better tag team matches of the weekend, besides the one against FTR. Match ends when we see the ref being distracted by someone, which we later find out it's Jay White. And then we see, Chris Bay. Then we see Jay White coming down the ramp He didn't really fully get in the ring, but he got on the apron, distracted the Briscoes long enough for the Good Brothers to take control. Magic Killer, 1, 2, 3. Winners, the Good Brothers. And it does sound like we're going to see the Briscoes stick around on Impact. I hope. That's the rumor that's going around. I hope it's true, because I want to see them boys in Impact a little bit more. I don't think they're done. All right, and that is it from me. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what your favorite match of the weekend was, even if it was WrestleMania. I really want to know. Let's share this around the internet, and let's put out some good wrestling vibes out into the world. I thank you all very much again, and I shall see you next time for... I know there's a AAA show coming up, a Triple Mania, considering it's their 30th anniversary, which that's pretty cool. You got Rebellion for Impact. I think New Japan has a show coming up. And I believe AEW has a show coming up next month. Not April, I think in May. I could be wrong, but, whatever. Hope you guys enjoyed. Stick around for the next one. Peace.